Hey everybody, it's Capri Cruz. Thank you for coming to AskCapri.com. You guys, I love you so much. You guys have submitted some great questions this week. For those that I haven't gotten to yet, I'm only doing one video a week, so just bear with me. These questions are very, very good, and they're very, very deep. Um, I'm really proud of you guys for really keeping it real, and really asking some real questions about some real stuff that's, real life issues. This week's question is it good or bad to have blocked memories from childhood despite counseling, um, and your memories are still blocked? They don't come back. Is that a good or bad thing to have traumatic memories um, blocked? So, let's start with where memories come from, right? Memories come from the brain. And I want to tell you, the brain is like the most fascinating organ of your entire human body. If I could have been a neurologist, had I known better when I was going to school, I definitely would have studied neurology, because the brain, it's in charge of everything. Everything that we think, everything that we think, because everything we think isn't always accurate, right? The brain has a way of creating memories that aren't accurate. So the brain is in charge of what we think and what we think we think. The brain is in charge of the central nervous system. And so everything to do with our breathing, our blinking, things that happen automatically, our automatic systems. The brain is also in charge of, like this, my fingers moving. The brain sends out neurotransmitters to the cells in the body, and without getting really detailed, because the brain can be very, very complicated to understand how it all works and stuff. But the brain is in charge of everything. Your heartbeat, um, you know, and so when we think about memories, there are different parts of the brain that are in charge of our memories, that help us to remember things. We have long and short-term memory. We have the corpus callosum. We have the hippocampus. Those are directly related to how we remember things. And so the brain will repress memories. So these memories that you're asking about that are blocked from your memory, they're called repressed memories. And repressed memories they become repressed because you have experienced something of a high level of stress, also known as trauma. And so it's actually a coping mechanism that the brain does in order to help you get through whatever it is that you're experiencing. And so these repressed memories, I consider them a blessing in disguise, because we don't, the brain is doing us a favor. If you look at it like that, the brain is doing you a favor. It knows best. It knows that whenever you experience whatever you experience that now you don't remember, the brain took it upon itself to protect you at a time where you could not protect yourself. And there was no one else there to protect you. Your brain protected you. And so it has done you a favor. And so you need to really look at it like that. In my previous video, I talked to you guys about our perspective. Our perspective is everything, right? Now, I know that as foster alumni, as people, when we get older, we try to put pieces of our life together, right? Sometimes we just have bits and pieces of a memory, and we're trying to put these pieces together. For instance, for me, I don't remember anything prior to the age of 7. 7, I remember. Into, I don't remember anything from 8 and 9. And then 10 to 12 and on, I remember. But of course, I don't remember everything, And also, you have to remember that too. The brain can't remember everything. We have short-term memory, we have long-term memory, but we don't have everything memory, right? we don't remember everything. So consider it partially that the brain can't remember every single thing you've experienced. Consider it also that it's a coping skill, not a coping skill, but a coping mechanism that the brain has used to protect you from some high level of stress or trauma that I'm going to say would do you no benefit anyway. I remember, in my book, From Foster Care to Fabulous and Imperative Movement, I write about how when I was 7, my brother and I were placed into this foster home, and these foster parents were just atrocious to us. The children there, the foster children there, were even, they were bad. They bullied us. They physically hurt us. The father, I just remember seeing my brother, who was about 12 years old, being dragged by his hair up and down the hallway. And they had a very long hallway. And he was being dragged up and down. And there was nothing I could do to protect him. And I had to sit there and watch. And so, had my brain decided that it wanted to repress that memory, I would be very happy with that. There is nothing positive about that memory that can help me, except to explain what I experienced in that foster home. And it is true that we can use our traumatic memories to generate positive information to help other people who experience similar situations. So it is true that I put it in my book so that, I could talk about it. But really, what information could I give a child in that situation except to say, I've been there and I understand. So it's helped me as a therapist, in even doing these videos, Ask Free videos. So we can learn from our traumatic memories. It is very true. And it's very important, right? I choose to believe that every experience that I have in life, whether it's a positive experience or a negative experience, is a learning experience. And when I can identify it as a learning experience, then I don't carry the trauma into my future. I come to peace with the trauma. And I look at it in a positive perspective. That perspective, I'm telling you guys, perspective is everything. Your perspective is everything. Also you got to think about genetics, right? Everybody is genetically built differently. So everyone's brain is different. Some people are going to have a better memory than other people. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. You're just different. I'm different. Everybody's different, right? Also consider that it is dissociative amnesia. Your brain decided to dissociate from that experience, again, to protect you. So your brain is your friend. Okay, it really is, especially when it comes to trauma. And it wants to repress memories. So even though you've been to counseling and your memories still don't come up, consider it a blessing. Truly, truly consider it a blessing. Because, what benefit can it give you? Yeah, it can fill in the holes of your curiosity. And as humans, we are very curious, right? It help us. It helps us to create this identity of ourselves, right? Who are we? We need memories, right, to figure out where do we come from. But when it comes to traumatic memories, I would really encourage you to ask yourself, do you really need to remember these memories? You know, will they serve you? See, you know, these questions always lead me to something bigger and deeper, and though I love it, it leaves, a very long video for you guys to watch, or not really very long, but listen, I applaud you all, first of all, to wanting to become educated. There's nothing more beautiful than self-edification, right? Learn for yourself, research, ask questions. So God bless you for using this forum. That's what I'm here for, truly. So, you know, when the brain dissociates from something, um, it is protecting you. And when you think about why you want to know or remember these memories, ask yourself, what purpose is it going to serve me? And will it help me serve other people? Right? Now, I'm going to assume that you're similar to me, and from my experiences in foster care. And I'm going to say that you already have enough traumatic memories and enough information about your life and your arsenal of memories that you can still contribute to the well-being and a positive change in our society based on the memories that you do have. So, keeping that in your understanding, I would ask you to consider, why do you want to relive these traumatic memories? Because once you bring them back to light, once they come back to the forefront of your mind, it's hard to forget them. That's why they say, be careful what you ask for, because you might get it. Some things are left buried for a reason. And sometimes things that are buried, work to your benefit. You don't need to know. That's my opinion. My opinion is, consider it a blessing in disguise, because you don't need to remember them. Like I said, I understand. I've been there. There's a lot about my mother. I was taken away from my mother at 7. So I don't have really any memories with my mother, because all I remember is the age of 7. And I vaguely remember that with my mother. So I totally understand the curiosity of wanting to put pieces of the puzzle together. But maybe my brain knows that from age 1 to 7, whatever I experienced with my mother wasn't really good for me to remember. There is, though, the times when we can recover memories through a smell. I remember one time I was somewhere, I don't recall exactly where, but I was somewhere and I smelt something, and spontaneously I had a repressed memory come back to me, and it was of a honeysuckle. And I remember living in the country. I definitely was in foster care, and I think all my memories about the honeysuckles were positive, right? But for some reason, They were repressed. So I totally forgot about honeysuckles. I'm telling you, I remember loving honeysuckles. I remember, taking the honeysuckle and pulling the thing out and licking on it, and it tasted really great. And smelling the honeysuckle bushes, walking in the country. Uh, to me today, I say, what possibly could have been negative about that, right? But for some reason, my brain decided to repress those memories. But it came back to me through a smell. And, some people call, certain things deja vu, right? You feel like you've been here before. So a memory can come back to you through an experience you're having, or, if you're somewhere and something triggers your memory, right? These are the little miracles of being a human being that, who can explain this stuff, right? But it's fascinating when it happens. There's a lot of theory on repressed memories and why the brain blocks them. It started back in the 1800s, the early 1800s. Freud, I think, was Sigmund Freud. He was like the first, um, person to really write in depth about repressed memories. And then since him, many other psychologists, psychiatrists, and neurologists, and all these types of professionals, people have done research. They've written about repressed memories. So I encourage you, definitely if you're in college, you probably have access to your school's library online, and you probably have access to other universities' journals and their articles and the research online. So by all means, if you're interested in it, I really recommend reading about the brain, because the brain, like I said earlier, is the most fascinating organ of your entire body, because it controls everything. The brain controls everything. That's fascinating. Learn how to manipulate your brain to do what you want it to do. Because here's a thought for you. Everything you think is not accurate. And everything you think you remember is not accurate. They're called false memories. And two ways the brain tries to protect you is through thought substitution, which means instead of remembering exactly what's happened, the brain will substitute your memory with kind of a false memory. That's a thought substitution. And the other one is direct suppression, which is exactly what we're talking about, right? When the brain blocks the memory. So I say, for this question, is it good to have traumatic memories blocked? I say absolutely. I'm the kind of person that's forward focused. I want to create change, positive change in the world. I want to, I'm a creative person. I collaborate a lot with other people and their ideas, and, I'm just this creative kind of person, right? I'm not very competitive. I'm more collaborative, creative. And so you have to decide. With all of these questions, I always present this to you guys. You have to decide, who do you want to become? Do you want to be attached to your history forever? And that type of chained prison, maze, jail, we can become prisoners of our own thoughts. We can become obsessed with remembering. You have to ask yourself, at what point do you want to be set free? At what point does it not matter anymore? At some point, I had to say to myself, I had to forgive my mom, right? Because it was my mother's inability to take care of me and my siblings in a healthy manner that ultimately got CPS called on us, which ultimately led to us going into foster care. And she never was able to get her life back together. She was never able to do whatever was required. And maybe back then, the system was different. Maybe they didn't really try to help parents. Maybe they didn't keep track. We all know it's hard for DFACs now to keep track of families. So imagine back in the 70s and 80s, right? So as I grew older, I became more aware of external elements that probably slowed her down or stopped her eventually. Maybe she eventually gave up because she was hopeless, right? And so I had to have compassion for my mother. And, I've heard that she beat me. And I had to put myself in her place and say, why would she do that? Yes, it's true. Some people are just born evil, right? I don't know. Maybe it's not true. Maybe the things that she's experienced in her life led her to not know how to raise a child in a healthy manner. So she beat me. But at some point, I had to say to myself, man, her life sucked. Poor woman. She was poor. She was uneducated. Her family were all out, drinkers. They always had beer. They drank. They probably had more beer than they had hand soap. And I write in my own book where my ex-husband told me, Capri, you have more rum in the house than you do milk sometimes. And thank God he brought that to my attention because I was unaware. When we're unaware of ourselves and our behaviors and we're not educated better, we are ignorant to the facts. And that's why mentorship and prayer and meditation and education, all these things are very, very important. Personal growth and development. I think every foster child needs to have my book and read it because we have to teach ourselves. My mother didn't know that. Maybe she didn't have the resources. So I had to take all these things into account. And I learned through being a Christian how to have compassion for people who hurt me. Not that I'm going to hang out with them, my abusers. I'm not going to do that. But I can have compassion for them and forgive them because that releases me. I'm not doing them a favor. I'm releasing me. And so when I was able to do that with my mother, I wasn't interested in pulling up these memories anymore. I wanted to get hypnotized. I did self-hypnotizing techniques on myself. I would talk to family members. And then eventually I said, what am I doing? Why? My identity is not connected to my past. I decided my identity was going to be connected to who I decided I wanted to become. That is the power of choice. So absolutely, yes. Absolutely. Suppressed memories, they absolutely are a good thing when they're traumatic memories. Consider yourself lucky. Do not re-traumatize yourself, please. Find your value as a human being in the things that you want to create today. Be a productive member today and do whatever you need to do to contribute to society because that is the true definition of your value. What positive stuff are you going to bring folks today? Don't be caught up in the past. The past does not exist. anymore. Just doesn't. The past doesn't exist anymore. It's over. The moment it happened, it was over. When I started this video, that moment is over. It doesn't exist anymore. Only now it exists. And your future will exist so long as you're alive. Focus on that. Come to peace with these memories. Listen, I don't take it lightly. I completely understand your curiosity about your traumatic memories and your history. And I don't even know why you want to know them. I just know some reasons why I wanted to know them at some point in my life. But we have to decide, what are we attached to? Are we attached to our family and our trauma and foster care and all this kind of thing? Or are we attached to who we're going to become? The energy that you're putting into today to create your tomorrows. I would suggest to you that that is where your focus should be. Because when I realized I was a child of God, I realized that I have not yet begun to live. And the more I understood about who I was through Christ Jesus and who He says I am, and the power that He gives me, the authority that He gives me over my life through power of choice. If you guys don't remember anything else that I say, please remember that you have the power to choose. You get to choose who you are, who you become, what's important to you, what you identify with. Stop giving these people and these experiences in your past that especially were traumatic. Stop giving them power over you. Throw them away. Have a funeral for them. Put them to rest. I understand they're very important to you because maybe that's all you have for a while. But it's all you have until you start creating something new in your life. Today, my titles, right? I am not my titles, but these are the things that I've invested my energy in. I'm a therapist. I'm an author. I'm working on my PhD. I'm a proud mother of my daughter who goes to college. I'm a Christian. I'm a dog lover. I'm Ask Capri. I'm, the face of AskCapri.com. I'm on a cover of a magazine because of all the foster care advocacy I'm trying to do. These are tools that I use. This is who I am now. I am not the abused child. Those traumatic memories, they serve nothing for me. They have no purpose anymore. And so I strongly encourage you. Be a person of the future. Be a person of your present. Or your present. You're phenomenal. You're phenomenal. Know that. Know that you are, I titled my book From Foster Care to Fabulous because we're all fabulous. I wish I had like a megaphone just so everybody in the whole world could hear me. We're all fabulous in our own right. But we don't know that till somebody says, hey, listen, stop worrying about the garbage. Recognize who you are. Become more of that. You are not your history. You are your present and your future. Who do you want to become? Be that. You get to choose. The power of choice, the power of discernment, the power to decide. Decision is a very powerful, 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 powerful word when it's put into action. The moment you decide anything, something can begin, something new. So I encourage you to do that, okay? That's all the time I have today. You guys, I love you so much. I do. My heart understands. I don't take your concerns and your issues lightly. Stay there for a moment, okay? If you're not ready to give up your traumatic memories, if you're still in search of them, at least give yourself a deadline and say, I'm going to research, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to remember whatever it is that you're trying to remember. But give yourself a time limit. A week, 2 weeks, 30 days, 3 months, whatever you're comfortable with. And then come to peace with it. And let it go. It doesn't serve you anymore. It's just curiosity. I love you. And I pray that you will find peace with the universe. Because your future. Now that's where it's at. Okay? Your future! That is where it's at. And I'm a living testimony, okay? I am this compared to like Oprah and whoever else, right? But this right here is like this compared to who I used to be in my past. And I know every day of my life it's only going to get better. Because it's stuff that I'm choosing to do that brings me happiness, that brings me joy, that allows me to be a blessing in other people's lives. I'm a vessel used by God. And thank God that I've gotten to this point in my life. And I pray that you are doing the same with yours. Okay. I'll see you guys next week, okay? Bye-bye.